Hi guys, it's your girl Petty Paige coming back at it again with a brand new video. I hope you guys are doing well today. Right, okay, so today I am going to be talking about Thomas Halbert and all of the shenanigans that he's got himself involved with in the past 24 hours. Apparently the allegation set against him is that he did not pay in full the amount of money that he was supposed to pay to an artist who created merch designs for him. He's been called out a lot across social media in regards to this. I've got quite a lot of information, quite a lot of exclusive information. We are talking invoices, receipts. We are going through it from A to Z, bitch. But before we get into it, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button with the notification bell so that you guys don't miss any more notifications for the Petty Paige channel. Right, okay, that's it. Without further ado, let's get straight into it after this intro.
Most of these bitches is petty.
Right guys, okay, so I apologize if this video ends up being a lot longer than necessary, but there is so much information involved in this that I've really had to like reconfigure a lot of receipts, get a timeline together, all of that kind of stuff. So I apologize if it takes long, but it is really important that we go through it in full so that we hear both sides of the story in full and we can give a fair analysis. So with that being said, let's get into how it all started. Okay, so basically this whole entire situation started from a Twitter handle by the name of @LucaBooger, who had posted on social media her interactions with Thomas Halbert. Basically, she is an artist who Thomas Halbert had commissioned for some work, and she alleges that Thomas Halbert did not pay her what she was owed in full, and it took her over a year to get her final payments from Thomas Halbert, and that she was left in the dark for most of that year. So here is the tweets that she posted to social media. There is a lot of them. It is extremely lengthy, so pause to read if you would like to understand this situation in full. Okay, so as you can see from this entire situation, this is just an artist who got fed up of asking over and over again for payment for something that she had done work on. Shortly after this Twitter thread was posted up onto social media, it seems as if Thomas Halbert's subscribers or fans or whatever had contacted him to let him know that somebody was speaking about him not paying them. And from there, Thomas Halbert actually tweeted out the following tweets. So the first tweet says, "I literally don't know what to say. Obviously, I'm in the wrong and I'm clearly just up for this. It sucks that it took me months to pay her and I'm sorry, and I know this doesn't sit right with y'all and I accept the hate that I will get. Just know that she will be paid." He then went on to say, "And it does suck that it took me this long to pay her the $20 sum in royalties, of which I know isn't a lot, but it shouldn't have taken me so long to pay, lol. I was literally being a lazy dipshit." A fan replied, "All I'm saying is, if you can't afford to pay your artist, don't ask for art. It wasn't a mistake, it was unprofessionalism and disrespectful. He's an adult and he should be able to take care of this without ... And he said, "You're absolutely right." Another fan said, "Thomas, I'm rooting for you. Please get your shit together. Sad face, sad face, sad face." And Thomas said, "I'm sorry for disappointing you guys again." He went on to tweet, "For the sheer inconvenience, I am now paying Luca $250 right now. I am so sorry to disappoint everyone yet again." In response to another fan, Thomas Halbert said, "I know it seems like that, but as Luca knows, I've been waiting to get paid by Colourpop to pay her. I wasn't responsive to her this week because I just knew that it would have been the same answer. You can believe me or not, but I was going to pay her this week when I finally got paid by Colourpop." Another fan said, "It wasn't really about the money, but okay, you definitely should pay her. I'm glad that you're doing it. And an apology would have been nice too, if you haven't already. I'm sure she's more hurt that you had her wait a whole year." And then he responded, "I apologise to her privately and publicly. All my artists are always paid, editors and my freelancer workers. This was my first time doing royalties with anyone, and it was just an F up on my part. Learning experience though." He then tweeted, "Actually, let me just do a Periscope and answer any questions people have on there, because texts just get misconstrued." So Thomas Halbert then decided to hop onto Periscope and talk about the entire situation, and something became extremely glaringly obvious to me, and that is that Thomas Halbert can't fucking count.
I owed her altogether. She sold, I have my Teespring right here. My Teespring, she sold 4 units of her design in the hoodies and then 2 mugs. So the We Enjoy Memes mug was 2 units sold, which made $11 profit, and then 4 of the hoodies, which was $40 in profit. And as far as I'm concerned, we had worked out, let me pull up the Discord messages. We had worked out like some sort of royalty situation. So we had worked together, like, I think it was like 10%. And I don't know what 10% of $40 is, if you guys want to do the math for me, but I think it's less than, like, not even like $5, to be honest. Like, not even like $5. Serious. So she earned $4 in commission from that. $4. I owe her $4. Originally, I was like, oh shit, wait, I gave you 10% of everything sold, not just your designs. And that's where the confusion is. So I owe her $4. Which I know it's a mistake. It's literally my bad. Like, I fucked up there. And just for the inconvenience, the sheer inconvenience of everything and her just like being confused about everything and her in the dark, I even told her if she wants to go into the Teespring account and look at all the things sold, it's like she can have it, but she's paid. I don't want to have to deal with this anymore. I don't want to have to go this back and forth. Like, it's whatever. Like, I paid her interest on top of that. Everything's good. We were explaining back and forth like what's going on. I've been continually honest with her with Colourpop not paying me, that I was waiting for Colourpop. I've been waiting for Colourpop. Colourpop has not paid me in 2 months. So it's been a fucking nightmare. I've had it's just been a nightmare for me. And it wasn't more than $5. She made $5.50. She made $5.50. She made $5.50. She made $5.50. $5.50. I originally paid her I paid her $200 for the over $200 for the original designs on top of that. So I paid her $200 for Twitch panels. Ooh, ciao. I paid her $200 for Twitch panels. See, I didn't know we had pin messages, girl. And then I paid her $30 per emote. So I think at the time I had 6 emotes. So 6 times 30, that's $90. No. 6 times 30 is $180. So far I've paid her $380. I paid her $400 so far, rounded up. Let me do the right math. Okay, $30 per emote, so $180. For the icons that she did for me, that's $20. Then she did a head, so I think it was $45. So she did 2 different heads, which for $45 for 2 different heads, so that's $90. So far that's $220.
Yeah, so no shade but shade, he can't count. I was watching that whole live stream just absolutely infuriated that he couldn't get simple math. And hey, this is like no shade to people who have struggled with math, who don't understand math and all that kind of stuff. Bitch, I am the same. I got an E for my GCSEs, sis. E for excellent. Okay, E for excellent, bitch. But even I was like, dude, it's $180. Honestly, it was like infuriating to watch. So when I kind of understood that, I was like, oh, he hasn't got a f***ing clue what he's doing. So I reached out to Thomas Halbert as well as Luca, the artist in question, and I asked them a bunch of questions, tried to get as many receipts as possible. So let's get into what the actual truth is and what actually happened between these two and where the lines of communication broke down. So first of all, I contacted Thomas Halbert and asked him if he would grant me access to have a look at the entire conversation to see where the lines of communication had broken down. He was more than gracious enough to allow me to have a look through the entire conversation. Now, obviously, there are parts of the conversation that is confidential, so I won't be showing the full conversation, but I will say that I have seen it in full, and hopefully you guys can take my word for some of the things that I'm about to tell you. However, one of the things that was glaringly obvious from the beginning was that this is 2 people who have absolutely no idea how they're conducting their business. Thomas Halbert has no idea what he's doing on his end, and I also believe that the artist in question also had no idea what she was doing on her end. Both of them entered into an agreement to handle things using royalties, and neither of them had any knowledge or understanding of how royalties really work. So they were kind of flying without wings. You can see that in this video recording. Okay, yeah, so it's kind of obvious to me that there is no licensing agreement in place. She didn't know whether she wanted to license it or whether she wanted to do like the royalties situation, but neither of them really knew what to charge, and neither of them really knew how much the merch was going to make. So because they couldn't get a preliminary numbers, they couldn't really go ahead with a figure. So she kind of had to sit around and wait for how much Thomas would make to make it fair on the pair of them. And honestly, stuff like this just doesn't work work, especially when it comes to merchandise. Speaking from experience, you can have one merch drop that can do amazingly well, and you can have another design that simply people just don't vibe with. And unfortunately, in this situation, the merch designs that they'd come up with together didn't really sell that well. Thomas did agree to pay $150 regardless as a goodwill gesture. So you've got one influencer who can't count and isn't knowledgeable in this area, and then you've got an artist who doesn't quite know where to place themselves in terms of how much they should be charging for their services. This was doomed from the beginning. And then to top that off, we have no contracts, no licensing agreements, nothing like that, so we are kind of just left in a place where it's two people conducting business together who don't have any outlines set in place for their expectations. So after the Periscope live stream, Thomas Halbert decided to post up some of the invoices that he had sent to Luca, but it turns out that he'd actually sent out several more invoices to Luca besides the ones that he had readily available. Because what had happened is he actually lost access to his previous PayPal account, so then he had to create a brand new PayPal account. You can see this in Luca Rose's transactions because she also posted up her invoice transactions from her PayPal as well. You can see that referenced on hers because at the beginning of her PayPal it says Thomas Halbert, and then previous to that it says Greed Designs. Okay, so here's where things get a little bit more confusing. It turns out that actually Thomas Halbert had thought that he'd already paid this young lady because he has a transaction for $150 dated on the 14th of May. However, he stated to me that he couldn't access his previous PayPal account, so all he had was the email reference. So I told him to cross-reference that with his bank account and see if we have corresponding numbers, because it would have showed up on his bank account if the payment was taken from his bank account and not his PayPal balance. However, as you can see on this invoice email, it says that the money was actually taken from a PayPal balance and not actually from his bank account. However, when speaking to Thomas Halbert, he was absolutely adamant that it definitely came out of his bank account. So I asked him to cross-reference it with the bank statement, and he was able to show me a payment leaving his account on the 14th of April, but obviously that's not the 14th of May. So this story gets even more confusing for me when I asked Luca if she has any reference to this payment that allegedly happened either on the 14th of May or on the 14th of April, as she has no recollection of any payment and she wasn't able to provide me anything of that time frame either. And upon looking through the conversation that I was able to see between Thomas Halbert and Luca, I didn't see any reference to that payment in that conversation either. So I don't know where this has come from. So you can take that information if you will, but I thought it was important to throw into the mix so that you guys can probably understand either A, where Thomas is coming from, or B, where Luca is coming from. But this whole thing is an absolute mindfuck and I was struggling to keep up. And honestly, I don't have a degree in accounting, so why am I out here doing somebody's tax returns? Like, the fuck? So if you guys can recall the live stream, in the live stream, Thomas Halbert had said that he had accounted for all of his merch sales and not the merch of the individual items that he had sold that had Luca's design on. That's why she was quoted a lot more for the 10% commission in sales, when in reality her items had actually sold significantly less. And to add insult to injury, actually some of these sales were actually from Thomas himself. He had made purchases on his own merch design so that he could wear and use and promote his own merch. So some of these items that she would have been earning her 10% commission on were actually 10% off what Thomas had spent on his own merch, which she wouldn't have been entitled to. So in simple terms, the merch didn't sell. Sister did not sell a single soul. Oh my God. However, the lines of communication break down further because in the beginning, Thomas Halbert actually showed her all of his listings from Teespring so that she could work out how much it was that she was supposed to be getting paid based upon what it was that he showed her. She didn't know what the names of the items were, so she assumed that everything that was on that page was everything that she was entitled to 10% of. Thomas Halbert was conducting his business so badly that he literally sent her all of the information and told her to add it up herself. Like, if she was a scammer, which I don't believe she is, but if she was a scammer, she could have literally robbed him blind. And Thomas Halbert would have been none the wiser because sis can't count. But the fundamental problem that happened throughout this entire relationship is the lack of communication that came from Thomas Halbert. Now, it's been no secret on social media that Thomas Halbert has come onto hard times. He's just simply not making the same kind of money that he used to way before all of the scandals of 2018 and 2019. So for that reason, this young man is legitimately living from month to month, paycheck to paycheck. When I was speaking to Thomas Halbert via phone conversation, I was telling him that, you can understand where this young lady is coming from. Luca also is a freelancer. Luca also is a person who works self-employed. So the same way that he is upset about not being paid on time by Colourpop, she also is upset by not being paid on time by you. The same way that you have bills to pay and responsibilities and obligations to uphold, she may have that too, and she may be depending on your money in order to make that happen. It shouldn't be a domino effect of Colourpop pays me and then I will pay you from what Colourpop has paid me. You should have the money available in the beginning. And if you do come onto hard times because shit happens and situations happen, then communicate and let her know that you have come onto hard times and this time is extremely difficult for you, and for that reason you're going to have to set up a payment plan. I asked him, I said, why didn't you set up a payment plan? Why don't you say I'll pay you such and such amount this month and then I'll pay you another amount next month, so that she feels like you're not trying to fob her off? And he said he simply just didn't think about it. Now, whilst it's easy to demonize Thomas Halbert and say that, he's a horrible person, he should have paid, you pay your artists, all this kind of stuff, or you should have messaged back, communicate, all this kind of stuff. I don't know if anybody else has ever been in debt, but I've been in debt, and the first thing that you ever do when you are in debt is bury your head in the sand. You don't want to talk to anyone. You're scared of the bailiffs coming to knock your door. You're scared of that bill. You put it in the drawer so that you don't have to look at it, because if you don't see it, then it doesn't exist. Being in debt is a horrible place to be. And I'm not saying that obviously he should get away with this scot-free. There is repercussions for everything, but I just kind of feel like I get it. I get it. I understand, and it's fucked up, and he definitely needs to apologize to this girl, and I'm so glad that he's rectified the situation financially. But I've been there, and I remember being 22 years old, literally just before I started my YouTube channel, being in severe debt, having to work out whether I wanted to feed myself or whether I wanted to turn the lights on. So sometimes shit happens, and I'm glad that I'm out of it now, but I remember when I was there, and being a young person and making dumb financial decisions is actually all a part of growing. And I couldn't imagine having the YouTube platform that I have now back then. So I can't imagine it on such a big scale to the magnitude that Thomas Halbert has his platform. The saddest part about this whole entire story for me personally is reading through their conversations and seeing an actual genuine friendship. A genuine friendship that has literally been thrown down the drain purely because of ego on Thomas Halbert's side, as well as this fucked up financial situation that literally has started because two people did not enter any contracts with each other. And if they'd entered contracts with each other, licensing agreements, all of that kind of stuff, if they'd had done things the right way, the professional way, nobody would be sad because the expectations would be met. The expectations would be a contractual obligation. And I know that Luca is obviously 25 as well, and she's still learning and growing. And all I've got to say to Luca is you are vastly undercharging yourself, and you should be charging a lot more for your services. Value yourself and the work that you put out there, because your work is so good and you're so fucking talented. You deserve so much more. This is a learning experience for both of them. Thomas Halbert has actually now got himself a lawyer who is going to be doing contracts and stuff like that for him in the future. So fingers crossed that he'll be able to handle things professionally in the future. And Luca has increased her prices. So, I mean, I guess that they've both learned from this situation. But I guess the bottom line in this situation is, regardless of whether it was $4, whether it was $5.50, whether it was $500, it really doesn't doesn't matter because Thomas Halbert should have paid on time. And if he couldn't have paid on time for whatever reason, he should at least let her know what his situation is personally, so that if she needs to adjust, she can adjust her situation accordingly. Because I understand her waiting almost a year and thinking, do you know what? I'm going to take this to the internet because this is taking the piss. I completely understand her mentality and where she was coming from, and I think it's just sad that a friendship has broken apart because of it. But anyway, tell me what it is that you guys think about this whole entire situation in the comment section down below. If you like this kind of content from me, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you smash that like button as well as the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss a notification from Petty Paige. Right, I'm off to go and eat some Nando's chicken. So until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.
Most of these bitches is petty.